righty, welcome. If you're here, that means you're awesome and you're a patron of the Professional Casual Network. Welcome to Settling the Southlands, our brand new campaign with new character faces and one new face around the table. Everybody can say hi to Jess. Hi, Jess.
Hi, Jess.
Hi, Jess.
Oh, wait, I said hi to myself.
Right on brand there.
Oh, yeah.
Especially for the seat that you're in, because that's usually JB's. That's something he would do for sure.
Yes.
Glad I fit in.
So we got a brand new campaign here of actually my devising here, so I can't blame it on the book when awful things happen. I'll take full responsibility this time. I'm okay with that. I can live with it. So our new party of characters is heading down to the Southlands. If you're not quite sure what that means, it's basically sub-Saharan Africa in our world. There's going to be jungles and savannas and hills and maybe even some mountains eventually if they go that far. But we are... The party here has been chosen because of particular sets of skills that they have, represented by them starting with 2,000 experience. Very different from Grim Podcast of Perils Adventure, where they started with just whatever they got from character creation. They got to spend 2,000 experience, and they get all the trappings from the first 2 levels of their career. Did anybody get past the second level of their career?
Nope.
I have completed the second level of my career, but
wowzers.
Spent the experience to...
So you'll be the first one into the third level, likely.
Potentially.
Very cool. These characters will be a little bit better at stuff than what we're used to in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay.
Hey, now,
maybe.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Maybe.
In a Grim Podcast of Perilous Adventure, we are grubs, just roiling around in the mud.
Yeah.
While in this, we are bigger grubs,
Yes.
roiling around in slightly
jungle.
drier mud. Yeah.
Jungle Book.
Jungle mud.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to find out if Jess is taking JB's spot physically and spiritually, if she's going to roll like JB does and just roll 80s and 90s all day.
We'll see.
We'll
Is she
see.
gonna crash a coach first thing?
Yeah.
Where'd you even get that?
So you have joined this large expedition to the Southlands. You have been either hired or maybe already worked within the palace of the Countess Emanuel von Leibwitz of Nuln. Her daughter, Elsbeth, is very outdoorsy. She's got a bad case of wanderlust. She loves to be exploring and everything. And because Wissenland had a good portion of their province taken away with the creation of Sudanland, they've been trying to get land back for a long time, but there's not any left in the empire. It's surrounded by sea and mountains. They can't really expand any further. So she proposed an idea to her mother to let's claim land somewhere else. And the Southlands is not very well established with civilizations like the Empire, or at least that's what Imperials think. So they said, why don't we go here? It's really far away, but we will stake our claim to this land instead and create a new Wissenland. And you're going to start with the settlement of Wissenberg. And that's what you are here to establish. They have a spot picked out. They had very early scouts go out and find an area. It's going to be in a lagoon, as far as you know, and it'll take you some time to get there. You are currently on a ship, a massive dwarven steamship called the Spirit of Valea, and you have a little less than a week left to get there. So we're going to spend a little bit of time here, get to know these characters on the boat. So of course we have Tim and Dani and Alex rejoining us from a Grim Podcast of Perils Adventure with some new characters, and we have Jess joining us for the first time. So just a couple of things to help listeners and watchers, if they're watching the video, get to know Jess a little bit before we start. I want to start with how'd you get roped into this?
This game?
Yeah.
You. That's a silly question. I work with Dan, and I guess revealed my nerddom to him last year when we were working together. So he knew that I would be interested in playing, I guess.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up, yeah. I was kind of curious how it looked like from your side of things. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Was like, well, she's a nerd. Maybe she'd want to join a game with this. And I think she'd fit in with the crew well.
Yeah.
So what's your experience with role-playing games?
My first ever tabletop was Fate System with my friends from high school. And it turned into this campaign that was absolutely fantastic. My DM was a great storyteller. And we had so much fun to the point where he had our characters like custom drawn and we all signed each other's portraits, and it's hanging in my back bedroom.
That is
That's
cool.
how much fun we had at our
That's
first
super
tabletop.
rad.
That's awesome.
That sounds great.
Since then, I've only really dabbled because I never really had a community to play with. I played a round of very homebrew D&D during pandemic time last March, and now we're playing Ars Magica, and now playing this.
Nice.
Not a lot. It's all over the place, really.
So what's your experience with Warhammer, the Warhammer world?
0.
Perfect.
Literally stalked a few videos and went, all right, let's make some characters. That's it. I think I watched episode 1 of everybody getting hit by the carriage, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's a good start. Okay, so that's another reason I wanted to have another new. Last time when we started Grim Podcast Perilous Adventure, Tim was like our new guy to the world and everything, very experienced in role playing, but not so much with the Warhammer world. You got a good taste of it now after this time.
I mean, just in episode 1 of Good Papa, yeah, I got a good taste
The
of what.
first 10 minutes and you got ran
What the world
over.
is like.
Yeah.
And what Dan is like as a GM.
Ducky's dead right away. So another reason why I asked Jess to join us, because I kind of wanted that fresh face again, just in case there are people that are checking this out without a lot of experience with Warhammer, they can see there's a player at the table that is also coming at it with those fresh eyes. And this setting is very different from what we're used to with Warhammer anyway. We're not in the Empire here. First of all, just that's a huge difference right there. There's not going to be as much of like the kind of political intrigue we often see with WFRP. It's going to be more survival in a lot of ways. You're going to be helping to establish this settlement while also working to keep it safe and see what is around in the Southlands.
Yeah.
So real quick, I want to go through just the basics about your character, name, species, and career, and just kind of real basics, and we'll get into our 10 questions. So we'll start with the man to my right, Tim.
So I'm going to be playing Gertrude, who is a dwarf merchant.
Gertrude.
Mhm.
So you're playing a female dwarf merchant.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
already intrigued.
Yep. What else do you need to know? That's everything.
All right.
That's everything I've written on my character sheet, at least. Why? Were we supposed to be statted out?
So Gertrude, do you go by Gert or anything like that?
I go by Gertie.
Gertie, thank God.
I
I was
love
going to
it.
ask if we can call you Gertie.
Yeah, my friends call me Gertie. But yes.
I'm calling you Gertie no matter what.
I mean, that's
And
the
you're
hope.
not.
Yeah.
All right. So we have Gertie, the dwarf merchant. Jess, what do you got for us?
I am Liliana Pine Swoop, but you can call me Lily. Nod to you guys. Unintentionally. I am a rat catcher halfling with a small but vicious dog named Vicious.
I like that a lot. All right, Alex, what do you got?
Well, this time around, I'm going to divert pretty significantly from Carl. I'm going to play the noble Heinrich von Baer. He is,
Of the New Hampshire Von Bears, or
well, Baer is I was on the German monarch Wikipedia page and I saw that there. And it's also a German pharmaceutical company. So
Yes.
there you go. But he's got 4 servants named Otto, Graham, Luca, and Wirt. He is wealthier than all of our Gapapa characters, even after as much adventuring as we've done up to this point in recording. And in spite of his fabulous wealth, he has a toughness of 23. Even with the hardy talent, he has 11 hit points. This character is... I look forward to his totally undeserved death, but I expect to have a lot of fun along the way.
You have fun early and often, because
yeah, for real.
I'll throw my disclaimer in here. I have written this to be significantly more deadly than Gapapa.
Oh, sweet.
Awesome.
So
The max amount of fate points that a dwarf can start with is the same as Lucky started with. So
I did start with 4 fate points, and I have 5 fortune points because I have the luck talent as well. So I am kind of prepared.
all right, so
Ready.
you have bad stats, but you have some ways to mitigate that. Nice. All right, I can't wait to see what this guy does. Dani, what do you got?
All right, so I am a human physician, and my name is Bethan Bauer.
That's a made up.
So I'm going to tell the story because I
We've
know
been
she
saving
doesn't
it till we're
listen.
recording for her to tell you what her name is.
So we have a friend who claims to have a friend named Bethan. None of us have ever met Bethan nor seen Bethan, although apparently I might be taking Bethan's place in this friend's wedding as a bridesmaid.
That's so weird
Isn't
that
that
someone that's made up
So Tim
needed
is
to be
constantly,
replaced.
every time this person talks about their friend Bethan, Tim's like, it's not a real name. And she gets like mad about it. She's like, yes, she is. So I thought that it would be very funny. Actually, it was Dan's idea.
We were just kind of workshopping names, and I was like, oh my God, what about Bethan? Tim would lose it.
Oh, that's so great.
So
I love it so
I got
much.
a little bit panicky because my character sheet was out on the table upstairs when Tim got here. And I was like, oh, I hope he doesn't look at it. Because then it would be ruined, but he didn't look at it.
You
And
really wanted to save that reaction for recording.
that reaction was absolutely perfect. Oh.
All right, so we got to talk about a little bit more about these characters and why are you even on this expedition? So first up is going to be, where are you from? Which will be easier for some people than others, of course. But you don't have to give me, like we did with Gapapa, you don't have to narrow it down to a particular town if you don't want. You could say, like, I'm from a city or I'm from a rural area. If you know, especially like, I know Jess doesn't know all about the Empire, so you might not know exactly where you're from.
Nope.
We can be a little more vague with that and then kind of narrow it down as things go. Excuse me. So we'll go opposite direction this time. Where's Bethan from?
Bethan is from Nuln originally.
Okay.
Yes.
I decided that Lily is going to have been working at House Leibowitz as their personal rat catcher in the vicinity anyway. So she's from wherever they're from.
Nice. So also from Nuln.
Yep.
Great. Alex, where is Heinrich, right?
Yes, Heinrich is going to be from Middenheim.
Oh, interesting. A northerner. Was it? It already seems like he has a few prejudices, but you know, he's with a bunch of southerners here.
Oh boy.
That might be interesting. And then where's Gertie?
Gertie.
Remember it right?
Yep. He's from the Grey Mountains, probably.
The Grey Mountains?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a place,
I
right?
was gonna say just
Yes.
do Carrick and then a random word, and there's a dwarven stronghold.
Yeah.
So he's not an imperial dwarf then.
Like of the Empire.
Correct. He's from a little town called Guznadab.
Nice. All right. So we have mostly from Nuln, Middenheim, and then the Grey Mountains. It's the wrong tab. There we go. Next question here says, what is your family like? You don't have to go super into detail unless you have a lot of details about your family, but you could keep it relatively vague about just in general, what is your family like? So Gertie, what's your dwarven family like?
So Gertie's a mama's boy, like hard.
Mm.
He has two older sisters, and his mom and his dad passed away during childbirth because my mom killed him because he just wasn't up to the task.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't on purpose,
Oh.
but like he wasn't strong enough to handle the situation, so she got rid of him. Once again, not on purpose.
Okay.
But so his mom, super important in his life. He's kind of the baby boy of the family. They dote over him. They make sure that he is protected at all times because men are weak. So it's pretty much the basis of it.
Interesting. Okay. How about Liliana? She have a big old halfling family?
You bet she does. And in order to make herself stand out from her 7 brothers and sisters, she decided to become a rat catcher and get creative with cooking. So she literally just experiments. If she kills it, she tries to eat it.
Love it. Is she close with her family?
About as close as any other halfling family, I would say.
Okay.
But she's willing to adventure, unlike the rest of them. They're homebodies, but she's developed an adventurousness because of rat catching.
Oh, okay.
Adventuring in the kitchen, leads to adventuring in the world.
Exactly. To get more exciting things to cook, she has to go to more exciting places, hence why she's willing to go to the Southlands.
That makes sense.
She's like Quina from Final Fantasy IX,
Yeah.
except instead of frogs, it's rats. How about Heinrich? He's a noble, so he must know all about his family and lineage.
Yeah, so Heinrich is from a noble family in Middenheim that goes way back, and the family lore claims that when Ulrich himself founded the city, that he was also involved in establishing this noble house, which I think is probably totally BS, but there's no good way to know for sure. But Heinrich is the first son in his family, which absolutely should entitle him to inherit the associated lands and powers, which is a prospect that his father absolutely despises.
Oh,
The second son is actually competent and not obnoxious and absolutely deserves to inherit that power and land. And so while he has persuaded Heinrich to go on this adventure for glory and to kind of, tout the family name and come back with some wealth or land, he's really kind of low key hoping that I'll die. And so that the second son can kind of slip in and continue the name and honor.
well, I don't think I'm going to have a problem obliging your dad's wishes. But we'll see. Maybe with that luck talent, you'll get lucky. Bethan. I almost forgot. How did I forget that name for a second?
Right?
Because it's made up.
My family is relatively small. I have my parents and I have a brother. My brother is older than I am, and he is a merchant. My mother was the midwife to Princess Elizabeth's family. So that's how I am connected to them. And my father is their groundskeeper.
Oh, Princess Elsbeth.
Elspeth, that's what I said.
I like that. That's good.
Dan, edit that out.
Tim, would you mind opening the door for Rocco?
Getting a drink? Yes.
He'll probably bark at it any second.
That's Lizbeth.
Elsbeth.
Elspeth, why?
It's like Elizabeth, but not quite.
I know, but why do I keep getting it wrong?
I don't know. She hit him in the face of the door.
Well, he was like looking back at me for me to open the door, but I was opening the door.
He's real old and clumsy.
So if you worked for the family, did you live at the house?
Yes,
That means I probably knew you if I was there.
probably. That would make sense.
Very well could have, yeah.
Yeah.
The palace is a big place, but...
But if I got bit by a rat,
You'd come to
I'd
us.
need
Oh, I'm sure, yes.
I'd also bring you my dog, by the way.
Yeah.
And Bethan would work under the expedition's proper doctor,
Yes.
whose name is Melissa, would be like your boss, basically.
Melissa is not a made up name.
It's not.
Right. He told me that the doctor's name was Melissa. And I was like, what? And he's like, what? I'm not going to have everything be wild. Okay.
I made up a lot of characters, okay? So not every name is crazy.
You didn't just put a hand in a Scrabble bag and
Should have.
put those tiles together.
That'd be an elf name.
Mm,
A lot of vowels and L's.
only vowels.
All right, next up is, what was your childhood like? So we can also talk about, I want to also throw in, what is your current age at this point? So we'll start with Bethan this time. So what is your current age?
I'm 22.
So what was your childhood like?
Like any girl with an older brother, it was fraught with scrapes and bruises and all of those sorts of things because he wanted me to go and do all the boy things, which, climbing trees and getting roughed up, which is maybe where I started to get an affinity for healing because I often needed to be tended to and wanted to find a way to legitimize medicine in the Empire because it's kind of just seen as like another level of like magic. But otherwise it was good. My parents are very boring people. Just
Might be a good thing in a way.
happy with life in the Empire, happy working under the family, but
You're normal.
so normal, painfully normal.
Aggressively normal.
Aggressive,
Boring.
aggro normal. You're boring me.
Let's jump over to Gertie. What was your childhood like?
So A relatively good childhood. My family operated a whole bunch of blacksmitheries and mining companies and stuff like that. So I got to kind of, I ran a store, my family store, because it was too dangerous for me to go out and work in the mines or to work in the blacksmith place. So that was what my sisters and mom did.
So they did the crafting and you sold the goods?
Yes. And then I would do the homekeeping and cooking. And that was also one of the reasons I wanted to travel, was constantly looking to cook for other people and share new things with them. And yeah.
Oh, okay. You mean the halfling might get along that way?
Yeah.
And talk about cooking stuff.
Very probably.
Very probably. So what was the halfling's childhood like, Miss Liliana?
Loud and noisy.
Oh, I bet.
If you guys think our house was small and cramped, it's small. It's more cramped because there's so many of us, and we just share everything and all the things are on top of each other. And it was loud and it was noisy. My parents owned like one of those food carts vendors out on the roads, so they were always cooking. Hence why I was like, "Hey, how about a specialty today? Fried rat." And I would bring them specialties for the day, depending on what I killed, and that was how she participated and felt like part of it. But otherwise, it was just loud and noisy. She started working in the city and eventually became so good she got hired up at the house.
Nice. And I immediately forgot my other part of the question. How old is Liliana?
She is 54.
Which is youngish for not quite middle age for a halfling.
Okay.
How old is Gertie?
73.
Which again, probably nearing
They cap
middle
out
age.
at like 300 to 400, right?
Yeah, dwarves they don't live as long as elves, but much longer than people. And halflings are like, they can live to be 120 pretty easily.
Okay.
Humans, it's like 60, maybe.
If I'm lucky.
In this, if you're really lucky in this world. Usually disease will get you first.
So I'm still in like the first quarter or under.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're relatively young for a dwarf.
Good.
And then Heinrich, we know you have an older brother. What was it like growing up in Middenheim, the cold, cold north?
So I have a younger brother.
Oh,
That's because
that's right.
Because Heinrich is the first son.
Right.
But Heinrich, as a child, was definitely raised in a way to kind of groom a future noble, and so a lot of effort was put into getting him to learn proper etiquette and to have skills in business and some basic combat skills. But the thing that sort of defined him growing up is just the older he got, the more he came to appreciate that social differences existed. And part of what irritates his father about him is that he loves to abuse the social power that comes with being a noble over other people. And that's just like his favorite thing about being a noble, not like any of the work or the glory or the honor. He just likes being better.
Nice. All right. So the next question here is a really important one, especially for this particular scenario. Why did you leave home? Why? So I want to amend this a little bit to say, why are you going on this expedition? And I forgot again, how old is Heinrich?
Heinrich is 23.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So why did you leave home, Heinrich? Why are you on this quest?
I had sort of gotten into this. So he was persuaded by his father that this journey would be a good idea, so that he could acquire wealth and glory for his family name. His short-term ambition, in fact, is to kill a dangerous creature to taxidermy so that we can have a trophy back at home.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, so that's what he thinks he's there for. But as I had said, his father is like, if this goes sideways and he dies, like, he'll definitely he'll mourn publicly, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
But
All about appearances.
it wouldn't be all bad.
But inwardly, he'd be happy for the family line.
Yes.
It's kind of a big oof.
Yeah.
How about Liliana? Why did you leave home? Why are you on this trip?
Aside from wanting new and more exciting foods to eat, because it's all about the food with halflings. She does want to establish herself. She wants to be something a little bit more than what the rest of her family seems to just say is weird. because she's not about the cooking. She doesn't want to have anything to do with the family business. She wants to do the rat catching and she wants to go out. So she figures maybe if I get away, I can figure that out more.
Okay. Nice. Gertie, how are you even on this trip with how coddled you were?
That's a great question. Great question. So the only reason I was even allowed to is because my older sister, Mary Beth, is coming along. And they've made sure that I am armored and I am going to be well taken care of and will most likely not be far off the leash from my sister to make sure that I am safe at all times. But Gertie is super under-socialized and just wants to make friends and cook for people and just kind of hangs on their every word. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the whole premise about being able to actually leave and do this is, he is, while still young, at the point in his life where he needs to, be able to do his own thing and put his mark in the world, as any good, strong dwarf would. So he is going to find new foods, new flavors, and to be able to set up some form of extension of the family business in the Southlands.
Nice.
To establish a foothold there.
Do you have a family name for your dwarf?
Yes. Well, like me personally, the player Tim, no. But yeah, there's a family name.
All right. So if you're establishing a business, I'm sure you're going to have or does the business have a name separate from the family?
Great question.
We'll get that figured out as we go.
Yeah.
You don't have to have everything totally answered at this point. So I don't think I've asked Bethan, why did she leave home yet? Why is she on this expedition?
Again, wanting to legitimize medicine in the eyes of more and more people, and also as a way of like discovery. She has been, working closely with the Dr. Melissa and working closely with an apothecary, venturing to the Southlands and finding new things to use as medicines that would be like better or not as overly tapped as stuff in the Empire would be.
Okay.
Maybe finding more like potent things to really like, bring some health to the Empire and to the city of Nuln.
Even though she's a physician, she still has some skill with herbs, right?
So I didn't take that because I'm working with the apothecary.
Oh, right.
Right. So that is kind of the goal, though, eventually. Like, I want to be a physician, but I want to specialize in, actually not just bloodletting and giving people a haircut, because I do have a trade barber. So I can give you a haircut. But I kind of want to get away from like bloodletting and, superstition and really get to things that are going to help heal people.
So you don't have like a jar of leeches on you?
I do, just because that's kind of
established.
Sometimes you do
Exactly.
that just to make people feel better because they expect to be bled.
Yes.
Is that what you would say?
It's
that
nasty business,
Yeah.
though.
Well, if they expect you to use leeches, you gotta use the leeches.
Right.
All right. One of my favorite questions here. We'll start with Beth and we'll go the opposite direction again. Who are your best friends?
Well, I'm good friends with Lily because, she's been working in the castle for a while. And my brother is a really good friend of mine, and I miss him.
Right. At this point, you've been at least on the boat for about 3 weeks, a little bit longer. So you've already been away from home for some time.
Yeah. My brother and I were very close in age. People around here would call us Irish twins. And yeah, he and I, we shared everything growing up. And so it's weird not to have him as a companion.
Okay. Nice. Gertie, do you have any friends? Are you allowed to have friends?
So Gertie makes
Bubble
friends
boy?
with everyone that he possibly can. So because he was running the storefront, he would constantly have little samples of food and would just try to keep anyone there as long as possible so he could talk to them.
Okay.
So he did develop a bunch of friendships, especially with some of the more common folk or poor people, because he would constantly be trying to feed people and making sure that they were trying things and stuff like that. So as far as like named individuals, pretty much anyone that will talk to him is his friend.
All right. Liliana.
Gertie is my new best friend. He doesn't know it, but he totally is. We have bonded on this ship, and I really just want to use him all the time to be my company. Obviously, I guess I do know Bethan was going to call you Elizabeth for I don't know what. So Bethan and I are pretty close. As a halfling, I just like everybody, and social norms are like completely out the window. So I'm going to share everything with everybody, including you, Heinrich. I'm using all your stuff when you're not looking, or when you are looking.
We'll see.
I saw the face over there. There's a face happening.
We'll see about that.
I like that.
You really had to think about that answer.
Yep. In terms of actual best friends, Daffodil would be one of her sisters. Is probably the closest friend she's got, and obviously Vicious the dog is her number one go-to best friend.
I love it so much. The dog's name is Vicious. It's so good. Heinrich, does Heinrich have friends? Does Heinrich just assume he has friends, or does he have actual friends?
Yeah, Heinrich's concept of friendship is really more like, if people do things for me, then they must be my friends. And so he definitely views all of his servants as close friends in this way, but they have like a normal person conception of friendship and don't really see it that way, but also because of their station, they're not really in a position to disagree openly about that.
Right. All right. So, Heinrich, it's a deep question for you.
Mm-hmm.
What is your greatest desire?
Heinrich, for as poorly suited for it as he is, like, his goal really is to, rule and be in charge. He wants to be a leader of men because he thinks it's important that people do what he says. And so he has to attain certain social status to achieve that. So he wants to be the boss.
Interesting. Okay. Liliana, what's your greatest desire?
Secretly, she wants to become a hunter. She wants to be more than just a rat catcher catching small annoying things, which is part of why she has left, and she hasn't told her family this at all because it's so outside the norm of what they do. Because a halfling being a hunter of big scary monsters, who would believe that, right? So it's what she wants but hasn't told anybody yet.
I like that.
Yeah.
Gertie.
Gertie's biggest desire is to be on his own, to establish his own thing, have his own friends, start his own family, and kind of break away from the homestead where he feels super trapped. So to be able to set up something down here, be able to give people jobs and have other people be happy. He wants to provide for other people.
Okay. Awesome. I like that. Bethan.
Bethan really wants to just, spread health throughout the empire. And through discovering these things in the Southlands and sending them back up there, really just, educate other people in the ways of her medicines, and then just, have it pervade the empire, and then everybody can be healthy and happy. Because you can't really be happy. Pure. Right? You can't really be happy if you're not healthy.
Dani, are you going to be like the lawful good of this party?
Am I Carl?
She's so pure, she might be.
Right?
All right. How about, Bethan, what are your best and worst memories in your 22 years?
I would say my best memory was the first time my mother let me assist in a birth, because bringing new life into the world was, it's incredible and it's wonderful. And to see the immediate bond between a mother and her child was wonderful. Her worst memory was the time she and her brother were playing in the orchard and he fell and broke his arm and she couldn't help him.
Oh, she didn't know how yet.
Right. So, and he turned like stark white and she thought he was going to die. His arm was twisted in all the wrong ways. And she just couldn't do anything. She was only 8. So
was his arm fixed properly, or is it still like...
He doesn't have full range of motion and like equal strength in each arm, but luckily it's his non-dominant arm. So it's been all right.
Nice. All right, Gertie, what are your best and worst memories? You've got quite a long time to pick from here with 73 years.
Yeah. So the best time would probably have been over a holiday season in which his mom, who was kind of a little bit of a taskmaster, was gone either at the mines or in one of the shops or something along those lines. And he got to travel around a little bit and kind of see the trade channels and distribution channels with his uncle, who also works for the family business.
Oh, so he's like able to leave the hold and go other places?
Yeah, because the store was closed. They didn't have to be there. Parent or mom and sisters were away. So it was kind of the one time I've been able to go out and see the world a little bit, and got, just a taste of things outside of the Gray Mountains.
Okay. Is Gertie's mom still alive now, or did
Yes.
she? Okay, I thought maybe she died, and that's one reason why you're able to finally go somewhere.
No, she was not home when I decided to go on this. So once again, she was out doing other things, and I tried to get away. And my sister understood my wanderlust a little bit,
Okay.
but knew that there was no way in hell I was going to go without direct supervision.
Okay. Makes a lot of sense.
As far as worst moments,
Yes.
that would probably be one of the few times I was able to sneak away, was trying to play with friends and provide snacks for people. And my mom found out. And very much like Bobby Boucher's mom, like she came in and was like, "You think you could go outside and play with people?" Like, and just absolutely went nuts.
Playing with people's the devil.
Right. You playing the foosball, Gertie?
Gertie.
But she scared the ever living hell out of those other kids so much that they refused to even come to the store, or so I never got to play with them again.
That's the thing, is you have a business, you always represent that business.
Yes. Yep.
That is a memory that will come back to you just before bedtime, and you'll live it and have nightmares.
So
anytime I'm about to play patty cake with someone, I just get PTSD. And
I was going to say the side where you can't put political stickers on our car because they're always in the business parking lot.
Yep.
My dad's business. Liliana, worst and best memories. You've got quite a long time to draw from as well.
Yeah. Best memory isn't so much a memory as like a thing she likes to do is like sleeping in a giant people pile. She loves being close to her family and the peoples that are with her, and then Vicious being curled up somewhere in the middle of it. Like, it's just a comforting place that she likes to be in. So if Gertie ever wakes up and Liliana is sleeping at the bottom of his bed because there's space in that bunk, it's probably because she wants closeness.
How would Gertie react to that if you woke up in the middle of the night and the halfling was just curled up at the end of
a
your bed?
human interaction or halfling interaction, I don't care. Yeah,
I don't think
absolutely.
you fight me.
Kind of what I thought you were going to say.
So, Gertie, Vicious, and Liliana all curled up into one bunk on this bed.
It's really efficient when you have 17 halflings, one blanket for the person on top, and then everyone else is covered by other bodies. Like,
Yep.
People pile. It's like a giant comfy place.
yeah.
I almost hate to bring Liliana down, but what is her worst memory?
When she first started out working as a rat catcher, she was in the sewers working and she got lost. And it was dark and she was lost. It was just her and Vicious, and therefore absolutely terrifying. She was alone and she did not like that at all. Eventually, they got themselves out, but it required a lot of plucked up courage to actually keep going.
Being alone in the sewer is terrifying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Speak to that.
Regardless of how you get there.
Being together in the sewers is terrifying, if you're being honest.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, we're not going to have any sewer delving in this campaign, so sorry.
She's
Is it
okay
really-
with that. She's A-okay with that.
Is it really a game if there's not a sewer level?
Right.
Oh,
I mean, maybe I'll figure something out.
Spelunking into a cave system.
yeah.
All right, Heinrich, best and worst memories.
For Heinrich's best memory, it would have to be in the winter of his 9th birthday, where he got his first personal servant, and his first use of his personal servant was to have them gather snowballs so that he could throw them at the other children without having to put in the work of making the snowballs himself.
I love this character so
And it was
much.
just kind of like that first taste of power to use, and not a really, horrible way or anything, but it was a beginning of a path for him, but it was a delight.
I'm so excited for Heinrich. I get accused so much of only playing objectionable characters, and I am so happy that someone else is doing it.
So what was his worst memory?
So his worst memory is actually going to be tied into a talent that I took while leveling up, because as a later teen, at this point in his life, Heinrich is irritated lots of people around him. And so he doesn't know who is responsible, but there was an attempt on his life by poisoning one of his beverages.
Oh, wow.
He did survive it. And in the aftermath, took a Princess Bride-esque effort to work on protecting himself against future poisonings, which is why he has the talent resistance poison.
He's immune to iocane powder?
He's not immune to it, but he will succeed his first test against poison every session.
One of the classic blunders.
Yes.
My dad wanted to watch an action adventure movie the other day. He does that every once in a while. He's just like, let's watch an action adventure movie. And I just love how he says it every time. And we went through stuff on like Disney Plus and nothing caught his fancy. And we were looking at HBO. And then I was like, what about like The Princess Bride? And then Dani came in from the other room and she was like, he's not going to like that movie. Don't do that one. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. Never mind.
Why?
Everybody likes them.
Yeah,
He
no one
wants
doesn't
like
like
action adventure. He doesn't want to really follow.
He doesn't like campy movies.
Yes. So like he wouldn't find the humor in it.
So
He'd probably just think it was dumb.
like a Michael Bay movie where things just explode.
Pretty much.
He'd probably more enjoy that. Yeah.
Yep.
He ended up watching most of The Eagle, like a Roman gladiator type movie with Channing Tatum. I'd never seen it before. We were recording that night and I went back upstairs after one episode and he had just paused it and gone to bed because he didn't know how to turn it off.
Because your dad's 85.
He's such a
years old,
boomer.
apparently. He really is.
Oh my gosh, too funny. All right. This might be my favorite question.
You said that about the last three.
Did I really?
Yep.
Probs.
I forgot
Yeah.
already. I like all these questions. What are your religious beliefs? Which will be easier for some than others. If we, especially like for Jess not being as familiar with the world, give us some ideas and we can throw some gods that you might worship at you kind of thing.
Is there a god of food?
So the halflings have their own gods. Their major one is Esmeralda, which is like the goddess of like home and hearth, that kind of thing. So most halflings aren't terribly religious. They will take any opportunity to celebrate whatever. Every week of the halfling calendar has some kind of celebration, some kind of holiday. There are multiple pie weeks throughout the year.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Rat pie week.
But Esmeralda is the main halfling god. Pretty much every halfling would at least acknowledge Esmeralda as a god. You might also acknowledge Sigmar. He's a human god, but he's also the creator of the empire, which you all live in, except maybe Gertie didn't. But yeah, you also might just Esmeralda probably would be it.
Yeah, it's probably it. It sounds like I don't think Lily would be very religious in a devout sort of manner, but in
Right.
I'm going to be religious when it's convenient for me, kind of a way.
This sounds pretty halfling.
Yes, let's make pie in name of Esmeralda. That sounds good. I like her. Great. Awesome.
I dedicate this pie to Esmeralda, and then you eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
Heinrich, are you a devout Ulrican or something else?
I sure am.
Thought
Yeah,
so.
no, I root for the home team. So he's involved in the faith, but only, to the degree of social expectations. Like he's not a true believer, and he definitely is not embodying the warrior values of Ulrich particularly, but
Okay.
yeah.
So again, he's more on paper, not so much acting.
I mean, he certainly acts it out because there's, social expectations. So he's definitely a, regular attender of religious functions, but he's not it's not moving his, inner desires and motivations. It's just something that he knows he's supposed to do to have credibility. So he does it.
Okay. How does he feel about worshippers of Sigmar being from Middenheim?
I think that he has a diplomatic relationship. He definitely, kind of has this low-key thread of thinking like, what are all these Sigmarites doing in our city? Like it should really be our game. And so, he's definitely pretty hostile to like Sigmarite evangelism, so to speak, but he's not he's willing to otherwise kind of live and let live other beyond that.
Cool. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Was curious if you're going to go like a hostile route or not, because Ulricans and Sigmarites are typically not fans of each other, especially if, depending on what part of the Empire you're in. If you're in the northern part, especially Middenheim, usually not a big fan of the Sigmarites. But you're not in the Empire at all, so it'd be interesting to see how that carries on to the Southlands.
If he was more of a true believer, he'd probably feel more intense about it. But
nice. I think Bethan. Oh no, we have Bethan and Gertie left. For Bethan, what are your religious beliefs?
So probably raised, as a Sigmar worshiper just in the Empire, but probably from like a healer standpoint, probably Shalia. Yeah, do you think?
Makes sense.
Yeah. So that's probably her more like devout. If she's going to worship, she would worship at an altar of Shalia first.
Does she wear like a little dove pendant or anything like that? Does she have any
probably,
religious symbols?
Think, especially to like on this expedition to help her stand out as like someone who you can go to if you need like healing and stuff like that. As I know there are a ton of people on the expedition just to help her stand out.
Nice.
So that people know she's a helper.
Cool.
Also, if you guys have any like holidays, I'm all for suddenly becoming devout for you guys and,
oh yes,
and supporting your religious holiday. I will cook for you.
I love it. Tim, what do you or Gertie? I had you go last. I saw you furiously flipping through books.
Yes.
As soon as I said, what are your religious beliefs? Tim was like, shit.
I had a general idea, but I didn't know the actual names of them or how to pronounce them. But his household was a very heavy, I hope I'm saying this right, Valea?
Yes.
Household, also
Makes
with some minor Raya.
Really?
Influences, yes.
Interesting.
But yeah, family built all sorts of stuff. We'd constantly be offering up. I would cook all the offerings of food and serve them on shields to Valaya on a regular basis.
I like it. And the ship you're on is called the Spirit of Valaya, so you must really like that.
Actually, probably one of the only reasons I'm able to be here.
It's probably like a good omen to you too.
Yeah.
Like, well, obviously this trip is ordained.
Right?
Mom, it's on the Valaya. Like,
yeah,
it'll be fine.
All right. Because I love using this order whenever I get a chance. We're on to the penultimate question. We'll start with Gertie this time.
Rude.
To whom or what are you loyal?
Great question.
You need to come back to you in 3 weeks?
Yes. Yeah, actually. That'd be great. Yeah, give me a minute.
All right. How about Heinrich? To whom or what are you loyal?
Heinrich is absolutely loyal to his house. He's, not going to act against its best interests in general. He's also, pretty self-centered beyond that. So, he views himself as the rightful heir to the house. And so he cares about that. General is a long-term concept, but is otherwise pretty self-centered.
Makes sense. So he's loyal to himself. Bethan.
Yeah. So she would be loyal to Princess Elsbeth because she's the leader of the expedition, works for the family. And then also that like in whatever will steer her or whomever will steer her in the direction of what she needs to get her goals done. And one of her ambitions is to like successfully establish this colony. So that is like her main priority loyalty aside from, discovering new medicines.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Liliano, to whom or what are you loyal?
Vicious.
I was going to guess that one.
I was surprised by that one at all. My family, she's actually, even though she's trying to get away from them and establish herself, she loves them and is loyal to them.
What was your family name again?
Pine Swoop.
Pine Swoop. I like that.
And she's actually pretty loyal to anybody who willingly shares with her. So if Gertie was okay with her sharing like sleeping space, she would be the most loyal probably to you.
Yeah, fair.
And then also to Bethan because she's known you for so long. I'm assuming we have it's okay if you share my stuff.
Yeah.
So even though she probably plays really nice with Heinrich and likes sharing all of his stuff, probably not so loyal over there.
Okay.
Might not tell you I took a ring and kept it in my back pocket.
Interesting to see how that relationship develops.
So
I love that
excited.
relationship. It's going to be my favorite one to fuck with.
All right, Gertie, edit out 3 weeks of time for you to have time to think about this.
Some of us had 3 weeks to figure this out. I only had 3 weeks. Social contracts. He was raised as the face of the family business, and there were certain things that you had to do. You had to provide and always be closing, always be selling. But he would sometimes get a little mixed up in, free samples are great and all, but that took too much emphasis. Instead of whining and dining clients or people coming in or larger contracts, he was just providing way too much all the time because that's what he wanted to do and not because of what he was supposed to be doing.
Okay.
So there were always clear lines of, this is a friend, so these are the things I can do with friends, and this is a customer. These are the things I can do with a customer. So labels are actually super important to him as far as relationships go.
Nice. All right.
Really,
Did I get everybody in for that one? I lost track.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So last question, similar to one we had before, is why are you adventuring? Why is it that you, I'm going to, again, kind of modify this a little bit more for the campaign. Why are you part of like the away team, basically? Your job, you've been hired specifically to scout the region and find either potential allies or dangers and either take care of them or report back to the settlement about this. So you will be spending a lot of time away from the settlement. Why did you get that job?
I have a small but vicious dog that can spot, hear, and smell things that are evil.
Nice.
Evil in quotation marks. And I'll fight them.
With what do you have to fight with?
I
A sling, right?
have a sling, I have a couple daggers, and I have my quarterstaff of rats, which is, mostly for decor because I don't want to break it, but
How many rats do you have on this stick?
8. I've got 8 rats just stacked, like smack through the middle, but stacked at the top. I just crush them and then they go up the... There was a record of my best day where I killed 8 in one go. So the goal is eventually to kill more than 8 in one day.
And we did a little throwback to 2nd edition where one of the trappings for Rat Catcher was a pole with D10 dead rats. So we rolled for that and just got 8.
Yep.
A lot of dead rats.
I love that.
impressive.
I'm sure Heinrich loves the way it smells and looks.
He's just distraught thinking about it, but wouldn't show.
So, Bethan, why were you hired for this particular job?
I want to go out in the jungle for discovery. I'm looking for any kind of exotic flora and fauna to use to bring back to work with the apothecary for identification and then seeing if it can be used for medicinal use.
Alrighty.
Or maybe recreational. She's not against that,
Party brownies.
right?
It's
Like
medicinal. It's medicinal.
How about Heinrich? Why do you have this job?
This is the highest status job that Heinrich could really get in this expedition. He would have sort of liked to lead one along the lines of the princess with the explicit goal of expanding territory, but that wasn't quite in the cards for him. So this is kind of a settlement position, and he's hoping that there will be opportunities along the way for him to make some claims for his own household.
All right. So you're kind of learning on the job here. Gertie, you're hired to be the muscle, right?
I was hired to be the social muscle, yes, and the physical muscle. So yeah, there's really not a reason that you wouldn't want Gertie there. Not only does he have a heavy social network of trade routes and being able to get things in and out of places, he's also the person you send in to wine and dine people. He was probably lured away. This was not his idea. This was something he was probably courted to do.
Okay.
And once the opportunity arose, he absolutely took it.
Nice. All right, so that's it for questions about individuals here. Before we wrap up episode 0, I want to talk a little bit about party as a group.
Part A.
I want to establish our short and long-term party ambitions.
Okay.
So the general goal of the entire expedition is to create this settlement and make it thrive enough to last. You do know that 4 weeks after the Spirit of Alea leaves, it'll stay there for the first few days at least, because you won't have all the buildings ready to go for people to live in. People need to stay on the ship for a little while. Once that leaves, in about 4 weeks, it'll be back with the first round of colonists. Other people that are there to just to live there, basically, and kind of fill things out and to make it more thriving. It'll be mostly humans, but a smattering of other races as well. But for the 4 of you, along with your assistants and things, it's because apparently you have a bunch of that, and Vicious, of course. What's a short-term ambition for this party? What ideas do we have for that?
Would getting stuff set up in those 4 weeks count as a short term?
We could talk about within those 4 weeks, yeah.
Right. So,
but like,
or do you want it something even shorter term than that?
That'd be fine.
Okay.
I think that would probably be our main priority, right?
Right. Yeah.
Make sure people have a place to sleep. We got, you know what I mean? Kind of the basic creature comforts established.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
So, like, just to maybe summarize this and put a bow on it, like, establish a safe and comfortable foothold in the Southlands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what might be long term?
Establish a safer double foothold.
2 foothold.
Yes.
A feet hold, not a foot.
Yeah, maybe the short term would be a toe hold, and then
Right.
the long term could be a full foothold.
Yeah.
So some examples from the book say eradicate an empire-wide chaos cult, build a castle, become heroes of the empire, each earning an imperial cross for bravery, pinned on your chest by the emperor himself. Examples of long-term party ambitions. So we're talking more than the 4 weeks.
I mean, like, we could have a goal along, like, establishing recognized land back in the Empire / Midheim.
Yeah.
Just to have, like, a politically relevant territory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Like, have it be legit, not
Okay.
just like a couple little bungalows.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
like,
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
anybody can build a house in the jungle.
Let's build
Not
an
everybody
outpost.
can make a trading post that somebody actually rules and, like, has diplomacy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. So you want to have a long-lasting established settlement that has legal ties to the empire. Something like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, anybody have any players here, or I guess characters too, could have questions, either about where we're at right now, or for other characters, even?
Bethan. Made up name. But how do you feel about priests and nuns of Shalia healing people over using more scientific means?
I think short term, that's fine. But for eventually people will need to have means to heal themselves. And so if they can buy, an array of different products to treat things themselves, then they don't necessarily have to go. And there isn't always a priest or a priestess of Shalia around or available. So if they can do it themselves and have that healing, at their fingertips, I think that that's a better solution.
Just got to pull themselves up by their bootstraps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an even rarer a priest that can actually perform miracles.
Right.
Not every priest can do that.
Yeah.
Liliana needs to know what everybody's favorite food is.
Gertie had an absolute delicacy, but like a frozen cream dessert once, and only ever once, never seen it anywhere else, but it was so good. And he just talks about it all the time.
It's going to be hard to make a frozen dessert in the Southlands.
Yes,
I think.
yes, it will be.
That's a hard one to try.
Especially when the
surprise
wizard
you.
on the expedition is a fire wizard.
Right. I mean, but yeah.
One time, as a thank you for their service to the family, Princess Elsbeth surprised Bethan and her family with a tray of they just like looked like regular like bread rolls, but there was like jam or custard on the inside. And that was probably the best thing Bethan ever ate.
Heinrich, favorite food?
Heinrich, his favorite food is actually going to be, I know we talked about this a little bit in Gapapa as being a valid Warhammer food, is ice cream, which, Ice Wizard assisted to make, but a frozen treat is something not so foreign to the Northlands.
That makes sense.
That's super exciting that someone else has had ice cream. So, I mean, that's all we'll talk about, really.
It's not a big deal for me. It's the best, but it's not.
Heinrich's probably bored by ice cream.
There's different flavors.
Yeah, it's not an earth-changing thing for him. He views ice cream probably the same as any of us do in real life, as opposed to the rare treat that it would be in the old world.
Oh, that's funny.
Sounds like Heinrich.
And in case anybody wants to know, I really like meat pies.
Okay.
Any particular, or is it mystery
Rat meat pie.
Okay.
Duh.
I got a question for all the characters. My own question.
Okay.
What is your favorite color?
White.
So pure.
So pure. It's clean. Clean aprons,
Oh.
Chef's hat. Ice cream.
I think
All the best things are white.
Mayonnaise.
Ew.
I think I like bright
Yes.
green.
Fuck you, Dan.
Despite having grown up with a brother as a companion, Bethan's a little bit on the girly side. She kind of likes pink. Pink's a nice color.
I like a solid green. Like a green, early spring green, that bright green that makes you think of like trees and stuff. That green. Very not like the sewers and rats and blood and violence.
The different green.
Bright green.
Right.
Yeah.
Super green.
Mm-hmm.
Super green. Heinrich, did we hear your color?
I think Heinrich's favorite color is just going to be gold. Kind of a basic answer, but I think that's where he's at.
Fair.
I was going to say
almost
gold or
said Carl.
gray.
I was going to guess purple because that's like the color of royalty, but I like gold better.
I have a question for the group as a whole.
Sweet.
Okay.
What are your attitudes towards nobility? And I'll just highlight in here that I do have the noble blood talent. So unless you have the noble blood talent, you are going to recognize me as a higher social status.
Oh, I got this one. Eat the rich.
Dan, you're going to get banned from Facebook.
Listen, the person that we interact with on Facebook has not been banned from Facebook yet when he calls out Zuckerberg on a regular basis.
Oh, yeah. He says.
Consuming him.
Yeah.
Tim had to literally tell him to stop saying these things in our chat, so we didn't like.
I was like, dude, they are watching us now because of the shit that you write in here. You need to knock it off.
It's so funny.
I got 3 texts from people that never talk in that chat. They were like, thank you. I was like, oh shit.
Yikes.
It's probably overdue.
Bethan is very aware of social order. She does not try to pretend to be a higher class than she is. Like she serves everyone, especially if they have the coin to pay for it, which typically nobility does. And so, but that's kind of another thing with trying to push the healing, like having your own stuff at home is just to make it accessible to everybody.
I want to piggyback real quick. And what is everybody's social status?
I don't know.
I think it just says status somewhere. I think a physician is like silver 2 or something.
Oh, I don't have that written down.
Are lower numbers
silver
or
3,
higher
thank
numbers
you.
better in status?
Higher.
Okay.
So like somebody was silver, they'd be kind of the same silver stat. So
I'm silver 1.
So then that would make Bethan slightly higher status than you because she's silver 3.
Yeah.
I'm assuming Heinrich is gold something.
Yeah, I'm gold 3.
Oh, that's the highest it goes, which makes sense as a noble. What's Gertie?
Silver 5.
Wow, everybody's at least silver 5?
Yep.
I thought it was 1 through 3.
And just to be
Interesting.
clear, if I became a noble lord, it would be gold 7. So
Wow.
there's room to grow.
Wow.
As far as the nobility thing, nobles were A-list clients. You had to wine and dine them the most.
Oh, for sure.
So I don't know if admiration or respect is the correct term, but certainly they are a golden goose that you have to obtain.
Now, if you don't have nobles as proprietors of your establishment, then you're not going to survive.
Yep.
Correct.
Probably.
Yep. So appeasement.
That's how Gertie feels about the noble class.
Yep.
Nice.
You have to pull out all the stops.
Well, as the bottom of our social hierarchy here, it's silver 1. Social status. I'm a rat catcher, so I don't care about dirty lower class people. I spend a lot of time with them probably. And I really don't care that you're a noble. We're going to share everything is really how I think Liliana's going to feel about it.
I'm surprised rat catchers get silver.
Yeah, that's actually a surprise to me as well.
Well, they have a well-established job that's in high
fair.
demand almost everywhere. Liliana is actually a member of the Rat Catchers Guild in Nuln, and it's usually a pretty well-respected guild because it has a really important job to keep cities cleaner and keeps disease down and keeps, I think, helps people a lot actually. So
That's
they're
fair.
paid pretty well. They're usually paid by the rat.
Gotcha.
But she
This kind of feels a little bit like a garbageman's union where it's like, it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it and
much.
you get a decent paycheck.
right.
Which is why 8 rats in one day was like amazing.
Ah,
I'm also only career level 2, so my status could theoretically go up if I go up in
Yes.
career level.
I was just used to lucky capping out at like bronze 4. So
Yeah, the social status is much higher in this group than Good Papa, where I think we had a couple people in bronze.
yeah.
I know Mina was silver because she was.
I think everyone's silver but lucky.
Yeah.
I think now, yeah.
Actually, I have her sheet right here.
I think she was silver 1 or 2.
Shockingly, I didn't write it down.
We don't play the social too much in that. I like to keep track of money piece by piece.
Yeah.
Instead. So yeah, at this point, our quartet here. I almost said trio, but that's not right. You guys are on the Spirit of Alea. You've been traveling for about 3 weeks since the dwarf hold of Barrack Var, which is where you left from. You stopped in a Arabian city briefly to stock up on supplies for the last leg of the trip. That was, I lost the name of it. Oh, the Sheik. And you sailed out from there a few days ago. Say sail, but the dwarf, this ship doesn't actually have a sail. It has a number of steam-powered, like water wheel type things, not propellers, but think a steamboat.
Paddle
boat, yeah.
Mm.
Is that what they were called? Is that steamboats I'm thinking of?
Like riverboats?
Yeah. That the big wheel in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. They have a couple huge one of those big turbines that churn the water. So it makes the boat travel very predictably. You don't have to worry about the winds or the doldrums, especially since you would be passing the equator of this world where most ships get stuck in doldrums for who knows how long. This boat just powers right through.
Nice.
So it has a very set schedule, which of course dwarves like. And you should be you're a few days out at this point, and we'll see what kind of things you guys get into next time on episode 1.
Yes.
Woo!
Let's do it.